Imagine a creature of unimaginable beauty, anointed cherub covered with precious stones. He stands on the holy mountain of God, walks among the fiery stones. He has been perfect in all his ways since the day of creation. His voice sounds like music with built in tympanums and pipes. He is the most beautiful of creatures closest to the throne of the Creator. But a thought arises inside him. One single thought. I will ascend to heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will be like the Almighty. Hello everyone. Today we will look at the burning question of the appearance of Satan. The Bible gives us a fragmentary picture of what this creature was like before the fall. The most detailed description is found in the book of the prophet Ezekiel. The prophet addresses the king of Tyre, but the language goes beyond the description of an ordinary person. The text speaks of a cherub on the holy mountain of God, a place where a mortal king could not be. God speaks through the prophet. You are the seal of perfection, the fullness of wisdom, and the crown of beauty. You were in Eden, in the garden of God. Your clothes were decorated with all kinds of precious stones: ruby, topaz, diamond, chrysolite, onyx, jasper, sapphire, carbuncle, emerald and gold. 9 gems adorned this creature. By comparison, the breastplate of the high priest of Israel contained 12 stones, 1 for each knee. Lucifer was dressed in stones symbolizing glory and beauty. The text goes on to say, "The skillful work of your timbrels and your pipes was prepared for you on the day of your creation." Musical instruments were embedded in the very structure of his being. He was a living orchestra created to glorify God. His voice and movements produced music automatically. You were an anointed cherub to overshadow, and I appointed you to do so. You were on the holy mountain of God, walking among fiery stones. Cherubim are the highest rank of angels, guardians of the throne of God. In the tabernacle and temple, cherubim shaded the lid of the Ark of the Covenant with their wings, the place of God's presence. Lucifer was an anointed cherub specially appointed to serve at the throne. You were perfect in your ways from the day you were created until iniquity was found in you. The key word is until. There was a time when this being was absolutely sinless, perfect, and faithful. Evil was not part of his original nature. It appeared later. The book of Isaiah gives another piece of the picture. In chapter 14, the prophet makes a prophecy about the king of Babylon, but again the language goes beyond human limits. How you fell from the sky, daybreaker, son of the dawn. He crashed to the ground, trampling on the nations. But he said in his heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on a mountain in the company of the gods, at the edge of the north. I will ascend to the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. I sounds 5 times. I will ascend, I will ascend, I will sit, I will ascend, I will be. The problem is not in the actions, but in the subject. Everything revolves around the self. Lucifer stopped looking at God and started looking at himself. He saw his beauty, wisdom, strength, and proximity to the throne and thought, why should I serve? Why can't I edit? Ezekiel explains the mechanism of the fall. Your heart is lifted up by your beauty, and you have destroyed your wisdom by your vanity. Pride was born out of beauty. Lucifer looked at his virtues, real, God, given virtues, and decided he deserved more. He wanted not just to serve at the throne, but to sit on the throne. He desired the worship that belongs only to the Creator. It was the first crime in the universe. Up to this point, all creation existed in harmony, submission, and love. Lucifer introduced a new concept, rebellion against legitimate authority. He became Satan, the adversary, the accuser, the enemy. Lucifer did not fall alone. The book of Revelation describes the war in heaven, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought against them, but they could not stand, and there was no longer a place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, the ancient serpent called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole universe, was cast down to earth, and his angels were cast down with him. Satan took 1/3 of the angels with him. Revelation says, his tail pulled 1/3 of the stars out of the sky and threw them to the ground. How did he do that? Deception, slander, false promises. He convinced a huge number of angels that God was unfair, that they deserved more, and that rebellion was justified. Archangel Michael led the faithful angels against the rebels. It was not a physical battle in the human sense, but a spiritual war for loyalty to God. The result was a foregone conclusion. Creation cannot defeat the Creator. Satan and his angels were banished from heaven forever. Jesus Christ witnessed this event. When the 70 disciples returned with joy, saying that even demons obey them in his name, Jesus replied, "I saw Satan fall from the sky like lightning." This is not a metaphor. Christ, who existed eternally with the Father, saw the moment of Lucifer's fall, an instantaneous, swift, irreversible overthrow like a lightning strike. The Bible does not give an exact date for the fall of Satan, but the context allows you to narrow down the time frame. The fall occurred after the creation of the angels, but before the temptation of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. When the serpent appeared to Eve, he was already a fallen being, an enemy of God, a seducer. The book of Genesis describes that God created everything and saw that it was very good. If Satan had already fallen by the time creation was completed, it would be strange to call creation perfect. The fall probably occurred between the creation of the world and the temptation of man, perhaps days, weeks, or years the scriptures do not specify. Some theologians suggest that the fall of Satan is connected with the creation of man in the image of God. When God created humans and said that they would rule over the earth, Lucifer could be outraged. Why do these lower beings from the dust receive such an honor? Pride turned into envy into rebellion. Now we come to the most difficult question. If God is omniscient, he knew that Lucifer would rise. If he is omnipotent, he could have created Lucifer so that he would never fall. Why did he create a being who would become a source of evil, pain, and suffering for billions? God created angels and humans with freedom of choice. Without freedom, there is no love, only programmed submission. A robot programmed to say, "I love you," doesn't love you. It executes the code. True love requires choice, and choice includes the possibility of rejection. Lucifer was created perfect, but not programmed. He could choose to love God or love himself. He could choose service or rebellion. God gave him this freedom because without it, Lucifer would not be a person, but a mechanism. God didn't want a heavenly court of robots. He wanted a family of free beings who voluntarily chose loyalty. Yes, God knew that Lucifer could fall. But knowledge is not equal to coercion. God knew the choice, but he didn't make the choice for him. Lucifer himself, freely of his own free will, chose pride. The hard truth is that the existence of evil makes good visible. The light is brighter in the dark. Mercy is shown in the context of sin. The love of God is fully revealed only against the background of the rebellion of creation. If evil had never existed, we would not know the depth of God's grace, sacrifice, and redemptive love. The cross of Christ, the greatest revelation of God's love, would not have been possible without sin, incarnation, sacrifice, resurrection, salvation. All this is the answer to the problem of evil. Eternity will show that even the rebellion of Satan served to reveal the glory of God in ways that transcend evil. The Apostle Paul writes about God's wisdom. "Oh, the abyss of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God! How incomprehensible are his destinies and how unsearchable are his ways! God uses even evil to fulfill his good purposes, although he is not the cause of evil. Evil does not last forever. Satan is fallen, but his end is a foregone conclusion." The book of Revelation describes the finale. "And the devil, who deceived them, was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever." This is not an eternal struggle between two equal forces. This is a temporary rebellion of creation against the Creator, with the guaranteed defeat of the rebel. God created Lucifer knowing about the fall, but also knowing about his defeat. He saw the whole story from beginning to end. The rebellion, the temptation of man, the flood, Babylon, Israel, the prophets, Christ, the cross, the resurrection, the church, the second coming, judgment, a new heaven and a new earth where evil will no longer be. The question is not why God allowed evil, but whether we trust him, knowing that he sees the full picture, which we do not see. The story of Satan's fall does not provide simple answers. It confronts us with a mystery. How can an all-good, omniscient, omnipotent God allow evil to exist? We do not have a complete answer, but we know a few things. God made Lucifer beautiful and gave him freedom. Lucifer chose pride and fell of his own free will. God uses even rebellion to reveal his glory. Evil is temporary, and Satan's defeat is guaranteed. In the end, the good will win completely, definitively, forever. And most importantly, the same God who created Lucifer, knowing of his fall, created a plan of salvation for fallen humanity. He did not leave us in the hands of a seducer. He himself descended, took flesh, died on the cross, rose again, defeated death and Satan, and offered salvation to all who would believe.